Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to be joined today by people that I know and people that I've just met from the Gamers and from Hacker Gal. My name is Verda Maloney. I'm one of the co-founders of the Gamers, and we are a woman-led media company and community that's dedicated to amplifying and centering the voices of women and femme-identifying gamers. And we just want to advance the role, amplify, and elevate that in the world. And we welcome anyone who wants to join us in that. And we are going to be speaking today with someone else from the Gamehers, as well as someone from Hacker Gal. And Hacker Gal is a charitable organization that inspires girls across Canada to explore the opportunities in code. With women vastly underrepresented in tech, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And in the gaming industry, Hacker Gal strives to inspire a new wave of Canadian female coders to bring equality to the booming industry. So I am going to start off with Isla at Hacker Girl. If you could just share with everyone your name, where you are in the world, your pronouns, and what what is the first game you played that made you feel like, yes, I am a gamer?
All right, already starting off with a bit of tough questions, but hello everyone. My name is Isla Farnood, and I am a 16-year-old girl located in Toronto, Ontario. My pronouns are she, her, and if I gotta say that, gotta think of like the very first game which really made me feel like a gamer. I think it had to be like Osu, which is a rhythm game that you can play on your computer. um, I initially got into games through rhythm games, not just like mobile games, but actual games that you can play on your PC or other platforms. So definitely that was the first time I really felt like I was a gamer.
I love that. I love that. And I hope that we can talk about all of the things and that gamer is not a gate kept thing. A lot of people that don't even realize it are out there listening are gamers. So next up is Caroline. Caroline, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are in the world, your
Hi.
pronouns, and what game was it for you?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, hi, I'm Caroline. I'm in just the outskirts of Toronto, actually, in Mississauga. Um, I am the Twitch coordinator at the Gamehers and a producer of content. And wow. Okay. The first game that really made me feel like I could say, yeah, I'm a gamer was, I think, Starcraft 2. And I got into it like in high school, but I had been playing games for my entire life before that. It was just that particular game made me feel like I actually could call myself a gamer, which is absurd, right? Because
Mhm.
I'd been
Exactly.
playing games almost every day for like my entire life. So, um,
Hmm.
but yeah, no, that one really kind of solidified it for me and
Yeah.
never looked back.
I love that. I love both of those. And I think that for me, the reason I asked the question is that there shouldn't be that it had to be one game, right? Because there's so many that we played. But sometimes I think as women who game, it's like you don't feel like you are one until you've like either accomplished a certain thing or, or it's a certain type of game. So the first game that I ever really remember playing at an arcade was Ms. Pac-Man and just loving to stand there and like play that game over and over and over again. And I still get scared of the ghosts, which is like really weird, but they still like bring this like, oh, I get freaked out when the ghosts come. So I feel like Ms. Pac-Man was the first thing, and I didn't feel like a gamer for playing it, right? I think that actually came when I started playing Rainbow Six a little bit. And then when I started playing Bayonetta was when I really, really started to feel like a gamer. So that was like, relatively recent in my world where I could feel like that. But I want to jump a little bit into talking about women in the industry that have had a positive impact on you as a gamer and why. Because for me, it's part of that in conversations that I had with other women that started me saying, you know what, I can say I'm a gamer and I can say that I've gamed for a long time. So, are there any particular women in the industry that have had a really positive impact on you as a gamer and why? And anybody can start that off if you'd like.
I guess I'll take it first. I guess coming from a younger perspective, um, it definitely hasn't. I haven't found it too difficult to call myself a gamer. I think that just comes with the sort of environment that I've been raised in and the people who I hang out with. For example, one of my friends one of my closest friends actually spends a lot of time. She sinks so many hours into League of Legends, and she had been playing it for like years before I even met her. So I think definitely like meeting people like her and hanging out with people like her have like just like creating this community of gamers within my school helped me realize that, oh, I also can call myself a gamer, even if I don't play like really grindy games like League of
Mm-hmm.
Legends as much as my friends. But there's definitely been a ton of people in industry, and mainly I'd say in media, which have helped me sort of even just like get into gaming in the first place. Like I wouldn't have realized that OSU existed if I had not
Mm-hmm.
like gone on YouTube and found like content creators like who had been playing the game for like years before. Um, I mean, there's so many different women, at least
Yeah.
like nowadays. So I feel like I'm kind of spoiled by choice. But definitely like some of like the big people who are in the industry, like Pokey, or even just like within OTV. Like I remember
Mm-hmm.
I had an era where I was like pretty into like OTV content, and that sort of kickstarted my like I don't know gaming career.
I love it. I love that you're spoiled by choice. I think that that's something that's like a beautiful, beautiful thing to say about it. Caroline, do you have any women in the industry that have had a really positive impact that you want to name?
Yeah, two actually who I began working with because of my first job, and in which was kind of industry adjacent. It was a bot that was for channel points for Twitch before it kind of got acquired by Twitch. Um, but the Mav Show and Little Siha, who are two partnered content creators on Twitch, they are two women who I look up to very much and who I
Mhm.
can call some really fast friends in this industry and who have been nothing but positive influences and really lights in my life. I hadn't really had, and I still don't have a ton of women in my life that I game with or that I like grew up with to, have like a mentor in gaming or like a real friend that I can consider someone, um, you know, who could solidify the fact that yes, I am a gamer because I'm a woman, kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
But once
Yeah.
I was more established in the industry and like working a little bit more and meeting people who have made a living off of it too, I sat there and I was like, it's so nice to, be around people who, you know, who
Yeah.
love it as much as I do.
Yeah.
I miss them so.
Um.
Like I'm thinking about it, I'm almost like tearing up because I miss them so much because of
Aw.
like haven't been able to see them in a long time, and I'm just like, ugh,
Yeah. I love
yeah,
that. And I think, so I'm going to name one. I have many, but I'm going to talk about Jan Lopez. And mainly because before I was able to like actually send a DM and like actually talk to Jan, I like totally crushed on who she was in the world before that. And so the reason I'm going to name it is because I just decided to like send a DM and be like, hey, Jan, I love what you're doing in the world and in the space. And like Black Girl Gamers is just pretty awesome. And then she replied and now we talk and send messages, and one day maybe I will go to London and meet her. And I name that because I think it's so important, one, to just know that there are, to name the people. I think it's so important that when we get into spaces together that we name those people, but also that it might just take a DM or just going up to someone and saying hi, and that everyone is just a person. And so I'm going to name Jan Lopez because I think what Black Girl Gamers has done for, I think, women in the industry, and very specifically for Black girls across the globe, that game has been really phenomenal to me. Um, you all want to talk a little bit more about what you do day to day. So if you want to talk a little bit more about like what you do at Hacker Gal, and Caroline, a little bit of what you do as our producer and things at Twitch, I think that those listening would love to hear about it.
sure. Um,
Yeah.
I'll yeah, I'll start with the producer. I guess I mean, as a producer, I come up with content ideas. We come up with shows and work with all the different teams on the Gamers larger team to come up with things that, you know, we can put out on social, people we can work with, content creators that we can highlight, and ways to really kind of expand the vision of like women in gaming, you know, like
Yeah.
showing that we're visible, that we deserve equal pay, that, you know, we have needs and wants and aspirations in this industry that literally anyone else has, and that we deserve to
Mhm.
be recognized and compensated for that. A lot of my work is kind of organizing events, and we just came off of one big event that just happened at the it finished in February, so we're really excited about that. And then we are now looking forward to some really cool events in the future, like professional boot camp, so that we can get like
Mhm.
more people informed about like how to get
Yeah.
involved in gaming and empowered. So yeah.
Love it. Yeah, thank you. Isla, what do you do, and how is it that you find yourself at Hacker Gal?
Yeah, sure. So at HackerGal, I am lucky to be on the ambassador team, so I get to work with quite a few other lovely young girls who are around my age, who are just as interested in bringing more women into tech as I am. We do a lot of workshops and we record a lot of content for young girls who are interested in getting to learn to code. I think HackerGal has a really nice beginner-friendly like coding platform which we use, and basically our whole job is to get girls interested and excited about creating their own games and creating their own like programs, just to like introduce them to the world of technology and programming.
Mhm.
So definitely, it's not as like gaming focused as
Yeah.
the game is, but we do a lot of the stuff that we do is game based because I
Mhm.
mean, young kids like girls in middle school and people like me, of
Mhm.
course, we enjoy making games more than making like boring programs which were made to like solve problems.
Well, I think I love that you um I love hearing what you do and also naming that it's so broad what can happen within the space, right? It doesn't have to just be gaming, but the industry has so many opportunities. And both of our organizations kind of exist to amplify and elevate and like just put women in the mix, right? And not put us in the mix in real ways because we've already always been in the mix. It's like kind of put us in the mix always sounds so weird to me. I was like, but we've always been here. What are you talking about? We're like we're half the earth. And so I want to talk a little bit about, women experience toxicity and harassment while gaming. Like it's just a fact. Studies report that about 59% of women will hide their gender to avoid harassment while they're gaming online. And so, with that in mind, I want to talk about that and a little bit connected to break the bias, which is the theme for International Women's Day. And so I'm interested to share what they have to say about that, right? So they say that their theme is break the bias. Imagine a gender equal world, a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination, a world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive, a world where difference is valued and celebrated. Together, we can forge women's equality. Collectively, we can all break the bias. So that's just a little bit from their website. And so I'm just like, those words alone just kind of like bring up so much for me. And I'm curious if there's like kind of what does break the bias even mean for you as someone who works in the space in the industry, or what do those words make you think about when you hear them? Who wants to start? Isla, would you like to start for us?
Yeah, sure. I can totally start for this. So I mean, I think break the bias or like breaking the bias is something that we've definitely been trying to do like even like years before. So I think it's such a great like topic to focus on for this year because there's definitely I'd say one of the biggest things which have prevented either my friends or like people around me from going into technology or even gaming has been this sort of bias that only guys play video games and only guys
Mm-hmm.
can enjoy video games or only guys can code and girls can't be as good as them, which I mean to me has been honestly sad to see, like
Yeah.
as someone who's always been interested in technology and in gaming for many years. It's quite heartbreaking to see some of my
Mhm.
friends like come up to me and say like, I don't really think I'd be as good at this as so and so, so I don't
Yeah.
think it's worth it to start. And I feel like trying to get over that and telling, especially young girls, because you know, like they're going to be the next generation of people who are playing these games, who are interacting with technology. Uh, just getting them to know that like they are also able to do as much or enjoy as much these things as much as their male counterparts. So yeah, that's definitely been something that like I've been trying to work at even within like my own personal friend group, and something that
Mhm.
Hannah now has been working at. So that's one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to join them.
Yeah. And thank you for that. I think part of why this conversation is so important, right, is like seeing yourself in this way makes something possible, because some of what you talked about is just about having access and seeing it, but also these like wicked stereotypes, and nothing proves it. Actually, there's a bunch of data that proves that um, all things equal, like men and women are just as good at games, right? It actually comes down to access and some of the psychological things. That make it so that women, the barriers that prevent women from just wanting to like step into the ring. So, Caroline, what about you? What are some of your thoughts about break the bias and like what those things bring up for you?
Uh, it brings up a lot for me because, uh, you know, I've been identifying, I guess, as a gamer. I've been telling people that I'm a gamer for a very long time at this point. And uh, when I tell people that I'm a gamer, some of them kind of like look a little quizzically at me as though like, oh, but you're not like a real gamer kind of thing. Like they'll say stuff like, oh, but do you play like mobile games, or oh, do you consider like this to be a game, like Stardew Valley, God forbid? And I'm just like, well, yeah, they're all games. I mean, I play a lot more than just that, but even if I did just play those, it wouldn't make a difference because I'm
Mm-hmm.
still a gamer. Like, you
Yeah.
can call yourself a gamer if you play games once a day or once a week or once a month. Like, it just depends on how you invest, your time and your interest into it. Like, are you interested in gaming? Do you like spending time with it? You might be a gamer. Like,
Yeah.
um, one of the things with break the bias that you know it brings up for me is looking at esports and seeing how many women could be up on these stages. They could be
Yeah.
up there, winning prize money, like getting the same exposure. They are just as good as
Yep.
any of the guys up there. And
Mm-hmm.
the problem is there's just not as much accessibility, and a lot of people get discouraged. Like they're not they're looked down upon just because of what their gender. That's just absurd.
Yeah.
So
Do you have thanks for bringing that up, and I wonder, do you all have any experiences that you would share where there were where there are moments where this happened for you, right? Because I think one of the things, and you don't have to share it, don't go in and share like the worst, whatever you're comfortable sharing, because I don't think that we are necessarily here to have to share like the things that were painful for us. That said, people listen and they always say things like, well, that's not true, that's a lie, or I don't know any women that play XYZ game, right? I literally was in a room and I'm like, well, how would you know if you knew? Like, if they're hiding who they are, what does it even matter? So, is there any experience that you want to share with folks that either was a moment where you experienced these types of things, and or where you experienced someone doing something that was really supportive to you during those times? Harassment or toxicity or anything like that?
uh, I'll hop in to say like I experience harassment in gaming daily. Still,
Mm-hmm.
um, some of it just makes me not want to be there. Other times, I'll
Yeah.
just like if I'm playing something like Apex, I'll
Mm-hmm.
just keep my comms off. I won't talk. Instead, I might type or ping. Like I'll get really good
Mm-hmm.
at communicating just with the in-game tools, which thank goodness, like a lot of gaming companies now have expanded their pinging systems to include a lot more diverse ways of communicating so that people like
Yeah.
me can not
Mm-hmm.
feel like they have to expose themselves to harassment and toxicity because it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Um,
It's exhausting.
so I mean, just as an example, I used to play a lot of Overwatch,
Mm-hmm.
and at the very beginning when Overwatch came out, it was great. Like talk on comms, we were hanging out with friends, lots of women in the chat and everything. And there was a very specific turning point where it all changed. And all of a sudden, the next week, it was like guys, and specifically like male voices who would come in and specifically say, you know, just the most horrific stuff and the most traditional kind of disses and stuff that they'll say, right? Like anything to do with a sandwich, and God forbid. Like,
I was about to say a sandwich.
Oh my God.
What is the obsession? Like,
and I'm just going to be real with you. I can make a really good sandwich. I am not making it for anyone on the internet, okay? Like, y'all can get your own sandwiches.
Get your own sandwich.
Seriously.
So unoriginal. So unoriginal.
I know. Like, grow up.
It's so true. It's so true. Did you want to say anything else to that?
I think that's, I mean, listen, I could go on with all the examples, but I'm sure everyone, you know, has their own. So I'll let Isla kind of take the stage.
Yeah, sure. I think like that same experience is very like that's exactly what me and my friends have been through. I don't know like any girl around my age who like actively participates in like comms like with their voice, simply because I think first of all we're quite young, so it is generally like, you know, better to not talk to strangers online, at least. I mean, I'm still, we're still like 16, so it is like pretty safe. But yeah, definitely I know of like some of my friends who are a little bit older, who have experienced way too much harassment. Like I know one of my friends in particular, I think this was like quite a horrific experience where basically she like never really used comms before and decided to try it out one day. And just because of how badly it went, she decided to just like never go back again.
Never do it again.
Yeah, I think that definitely like also just like YouTube videos like I've seen online. Just some of like the worst stuff like you imagine.
And thank you both for sharing it. And I really do mean that. Like, I don't want us to have to go in and share. People can actually go and research and they can go look it up. I think that what's really important is that people don't deny our experience and lived experience of those that are telling you what is happening, right? And I think what I'm hearing from this too is that it's not their generationally, we're still experiencing some of those same things as women when we go into games. And so I'm really curious about, obviously, both of our companies and organizations are really striving to make a difference in the space and to elevate and amplify women and girls. I'm curious if you have anything out there that you would say to people, and I'd say in this instance specifically to any boys and other allies, like what are the things that are supportive? What are the ways that they can enter this conversation around breaking the bias? What can they do? What would you say? Or what are things that you've seen people do that have been supportive and been like, yeah, do more of that. We need more of that.
Call out your fellow man.
Call him out.
Call him out. If you're an ally,
yes,
for some reason, guys will listen to other guys. And it doesn't solve the issue in the least, but guys will, if guys check each other, suddenly it becomes the norm that, oh, maybe this isn't right. Or it's this weird societal thing where like they'll only listen to other, like a lot of dudes will only listen to other guys, and the ones that don't won't listen to anyone, so don't worry about them. But the ones who might be able to be changed, just call them out. If you're if you're playing with one of your friends who's a girl and some guy like starts talking some really crazy shit, excuse me, then not sure if I'm allowed to swear. Then say something.
Yes, I love that.
Say something and like call them out, because guaranteed two things are going to happen. One, you're going to make your friend feel a lot better, a lot safer, and like reinforce that you are an ally. And two, you might actually change how that person acts. It's not a guarantee, but there's a chance. And other people listening who might be in that lobby might then be like, oh, and then they might stop themselves a little bit because they don't want to get checked. So
yeah, love it. Isla, do you have any advice or any ways that that you've seen people be supportive?
Yeah, I think that's definitely like been the most like impactful way to
Hmm.
combat this. Um, I mean, you there's not much else like you can do, like just making sure to like I don't know, report people and like call them out on their actions is probably I'd say the most important thing. But then also like if you're wondering how to act when there's like another girl or like if there's a girl in your team, it's just act normal. Like no girl wants to have like on their gender or like
Right.
anything about like them being a girl. You can just like talk to them how you would normally talk to another guy in the game. There's
Yeah.
not really a difference.
Yeah. I think that that makes me think of also, there's all this conversation about, look, it's the game, that's how it is, like, just, it's part of the game, and actually it's not, and it shouldn't be. Um and I think that people are sometimes struggle with, like, what can I say, what can't I say? And I think if you're actually talking about something that makes that person a human being in the world, then you don't need to be talking about it. If you're talking about their gender, if you're talking about their race, if you're talking about all these things, you actually don't need to talk about that. And if they did something terrible in the game, then you could talk about, that was a terrible shot. Like, you can talk about that, right? And razz them for that. And so I appreciate those things that you're sharing. And there are lots of organizations out there that people can go to, and really get support around this. And I think what I want to talk a little bit about as we kind of get closer to closing is around how to support women in the industry. So not even just gaming. So that was very specific to like what's in a game, right? But we all work in the industry, and we're all doing things like that. And I'm curious about, one, any organizations that you know, or any things that are going on in your own organization that are really supportive to women, and will break the bias, make it so that when young people are having this conversation 10 years from now, we won't be saying that anyone's talking about sandwiches in lobbies anymore. Does anybody want to kick
One
off
can
with
only
just
hope.
anything there? I know, one can only hope. It's a dream. It's a
One
dream.
can
Um,
only hope.
only hope. So yeah. So anything that you all are doing that you think, you would like to share with people around breaking the bias, or ways that they can support that work. Do you want to start,
I mean,
Isla?
I
I
guess
keep saying Isla. I'll say Caroline next time. Isla, you can start this one. I'll have Caroline start next
I think I keep
one.
yeah,
jumping
no,
in first. So I'll yeah, I don't want to.
it's all right. Yeah, so I think generally most of the organizations that I work with, or that I've heard, like that I am, around, are ones which are leading girls into more like the coding area. So I know there's tons of really amazing like organizations, just within Canada, not even like just globally. And
Mhm.
I'm sure like globally there are even more. Like there's like Hervolution, Girls Like Games, of course, the Hacker Gal, which I'm a part of. In terms of like specifically getting younger girls into games, I feel like one of the things that has definitely progressed in the past few years is this sort of like uh, support for younger girls to call themselves a gamer.
Mhm.
I'd say that like 2 years ago, I wouldn't really call myself a gamer. I think especially with like the pandemic going online
Mhm.
and having all this free time for a lot of like younger girls, a lot of us have gotten into like games and having these like communities where it's not just like one or two people who are like getting into these games. It's like five or like 10 within the
Mhm.
same school who can all like talk to each
Mhm.
other. You create this really nice supportive community. So I'd say that that's definitely something which has helped um, with getting girls into gaming. But of course, there are like lovely, lovely organizations out there. I've name dropped a few, but yeah, just
Love
like
it.
showing up to like events that are run by them and making
Mhm.
sure to like spread the word, even if you aren't as interested in it, you can always send it to your friends or any other girls who you might think would be interested in the events. Yeah.
Awesome. Caroline, anything to add?
I wanted to add just Ouija. I know Women in Games International does a lot of like really
Mhm.
cool stuff too, and they're excellent leaders in the same mission of empowering women throughout the world in games. So
Yeah.
um, I know the kind of stuff that I personally work on, like with the Game Hers,
Mhm.
we try to run events and create things that are constantly uplifting women. And I mentioned the professional boot camp earlier. That's definitely like the next thing on the list. But we also have the award show that's at the end of the year,
Yeah.
where we call out to the communities and say like, hey, do you see somebody that we might not necessarily have seen? Like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you should nominate them, and that way they can get the
Yeah.
recognition that they truly deserve. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. And what I love about these moments and just like these opportunities is together, like what collectively we're just more powerful than we are by ourselves. And so I feel like it is about showing up for each other, showing up for other organizations, and creating spaces that are inclusive and safe, right? Like I think we can do that collectively. So I am so happy to have been in conversation with you all. And so what I would love for us to, before we leave, is to think about, for all of the girls that are out there listening to this, if there was one thing that you would want them to know about, about gaming, being in the gaming industry, or just a message to them that you feel is important as we celebrate this, as we celebrate this theme of break the bias this year, what would it be? So like think about them that are listening. What would you want to share with them? And I said I would start with Caroline this time. So I'm going to have to be a woman of my word.
um
One word of
uh,
advice.
just don't let people get you down. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to say that you're not good enough, or that you're too emotional, or that, you're not going to be good for this because of X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, you are the master of your own fate. You can do the things that a lot of people are going to think that you can never do, and just keep working at it, because there will come a point where you will be able to achieve them, or that you'll find someone to help you achieve them. So find the people that you need to help you achieve your goals, foster those friendships, and don't take no as an answer.
Love it. Isla?
Yeah, I'd also say this is a pretty tough question. But I think something that I definitely would want to tell like a younger version of me would be that there's always a community out there for you. I think especially back when I was first getting into rhythm games, I had like no friends who were interested in them. So I was pretty hesitant on like reaching out to people online, or like talking to other people about the games. Like I think for a while I was literally like a closet gamer. But like over time, it's taken like a few community switches. Like I've had to hop around some servers, but I've found like a group of people who I can confidently say I enjoy gaming with and I enjoy playing with, and they've helped me get into other games. And like I owe a lot of my comfort in gaming to them. So I think just like knowing that you're not alone. There's always like other girls or even other guys who are willing to be supportive,
Yeah.
who like are interested in the games that you enjoy and are willing to help you. Of course, this kind of ties into what Caroline was saying with like they can help you achieve your goals. You don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. I love that. I'm just going to say to anyone out there, you are your special sauce. I think so much, we spend a lot of time trying to like find that thing that like, what can I do to be special or whatever? And hiding the things about you that are you. You are your special sauce. Nobody out there is you. So just go out there and kind of like wear that proudly, and do all the things that Caroline and Isla said. Find your people, and make community with them, and don't take no for an answer. If you want to achieve it, you can, because you are your special sauce. That's what I would say. So I want to thank you both for joining me for this conversation today, and thank you all that are taking the time to listen.
Yeah, thank you so much for
Uh,
having me.
Yeah, thank you
oh,
so
I
much.
guess
This
I
was
should say, how
awesome.
can people get in touch with you? If anybody wanted to get in
Oh,
touch with you, how would they do that?
you can find me at OMG Vandy everywhere. So Twitter, Instagram. My DMs are open on Twitter. That's usually where I'm most at. Or Caroline at thegamehers.com.
Awesome. Thank you. And Isla?
I'd say like the most public social media that I'm active on is probably Instagram. You can find me at isla.farnude on Instagram, and you can always shoot me a DM or anything if you want to talk.
Awesome. And I am Verda at thegamers.com. And basically, if you type Verda, not many people are going to show up. And so you can find me in all the places that would allow the internet to find me there. So thank you all.